Tennessee won big on homecoming, but there's a lot of reasons why it certainly feels like more of a loss.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Happy Saturday evening, Saturday night, I guess, maybe early Sunday morning. This is Locked On Vols, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcasting network available. I am your host, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys joining us here to react a little bit on Tennessee's 42-9 win over New Mexico State. This show is presented by our friends over at Game Time, where you can download the Game Time app, create an account, and then redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Tennessee wins 42-9. We're going to spend the next 15, 16 minutes or so kind of reacting to that. What went right, what went wrong, what's to come against Florida. Boo Carter, what's the latest there? We'll get into that here in a moment. So appreciate you guys joining me here on this show. Of course, I'm your host, Eric Cain. Every single weekday morning and after football games, this is Locked On Vols. I'm a member of the VolQuest.com team here in town, where we cover your team every single day, a part of that Locked On Podcast Network. All right, so Tennessee wins 42-9, and again, this is this game was never in jeopardy. It never was going to be in jeopardy, but you don't have good feelings leaving this game, and it's unfortunate because Josh Heupel's teams have done a phenomenal job against these cupcake games throughout his tenure. Albeit the 2023 Austin Peay game was not one that Tennessee would brag about in this regard. But outside of that, Tennessee's done a very good job in these types of games. And again, 42-9, the game was never in jeopardy, but Tennessee never found consistency on the offensive end. Tennessee turned the football over twice with its quarterback, and that's not what you want to do. Tennessee gave up too many yards, not points, but gave up too many yards, and especially too many, passing yards defensively, and way too many first downs. But a lot of that skewed a little bit because New Mexico State was down and playing from behind the entire time. So, in fact, New Mexico State, here, I'll give you a stat right here that I found pretty interesting. New Mexico State tallied 340 yards of total offense in this contest. That is the third highest single game total the Aggies have produced this year. Again, you're playing from behind. Now, the 313 yards passing, that's the highest total through the air that New Mexico State has accomplished in a game so far this year. But again, you were playing from behind, so that makes a little bit more sense. But what's inexcusable? I didn't look this up. I'm sure it's a season high. 24 first downs is what New Mexico State got offensively. It's just way too much. Way too much. But end of the day, Tennessee actually, had its lowest point total allowed defensively, so that's something to celebrate. And again, this is a Conference USA team. This is how it should be. But a couple of those things that we talked about on Friday's show coming into it looked the part. Tennessee did not look the part. Tennessee needs to run for over 250 yards on the ground. Tennessee ran for 194, so that was not where I wanted it to be. And 3+ takeaways. Tennessee had 2 takeaways. Tennessee had 2 turnovers forced on defense, but did not have that third. So a couple of the goals that I set forth for this team in this situation on Friday's show didn't accomplish that. So it's a little frustrating. It's a little annoying because you need to be sprinting into Florida week. You need to be feeling good about yourselves. You need to be having a whole lot of confidence. And again, 42-9, the game was never in jeopardy, but you just didn't play very well. Go look at the first half drive chart. Goodness gracious, man. You've got Tennessee that threw an interception on drive number 1, then touchdown. That was great. Then threw an interception, and then punt. So your first half drive chart was interception, touchdown, interception, punt, half. In fact, the third touchdown drive of that first quarter for Tennessee went the length of the field, 99 yards on 13 plays. That was incredible, right? But in the 3 drives after that going into the half, Tennessee accumulated, 27 yards off 8 plays. 2 punts, and an interception. What happened to scoring touchdowns on 4-play drives, 3-play drives, and that 13-play 99-yard drive? Defensively, again, the drive chart looks good for defensively for New Mexico State, or defensively for Tennessee against New Mexico State. Punt, turnover on downs, interception, punt, 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 field goal, punt, turnover on downs, interception, turnover on downs, touchdown, turnover on downs. I mean, clearly New Mexico State had to continue to go for this late in the football game because, why not? They went for it on 4th down 5 different times. Tennessee did twice. But New Mexico State continued to get third downs. So third down conversions, 8 of 19. So, again, I'm going to get out of the stats here. I mean, Joey Aguilar, I'm going to get out of the stats here. I'm going to go back into the stats. A couple of things here before I move on to injuries and Boo Carter. I mean, Joey Aguilar, he had 2 first-half interceptions. And, we continue to see those interceptions rack up. He's now at 10 interceptions on the season and 22 touchdown passes, and he scored a couple times on the ground, including once tonight. But he's continued to turn the football over. Like that first interception, Miles Kitselman, make a freaking catch. I understand the ball is not placed well, and that's not good, but you got to help your quarterback out. That's now three passes on the season that have been intended for Miles Kitselman that have touched his hands that have ended up in the defender's hands. And again, I'm not trying to say that was a good throw. It was not a good throw. But your tight end's got to help your quarterback out and reel that sucker in. And then the second interception, I mean, that's the second time in as many games where Joey Aguilar's felt some pressure from behind him on that left side, maybe got hit a little bit, forced a throw over the middle of the field, sailed it, and just missed completely. And that happened against Oklahoma, and that happened again here tonight. I certainly did not think Joey Aguilar played his best football game. It's funny, you look at the stats, right? And this is why stats don't tell the whole story. He was 17 of 23, 204 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. He ran for a touchdown on 34 yards rushing. He completed 74% of his passes and had a QB rating of 145.4. Again, the stats would say that he had a pretty decent game, minus the 2 turnovers. But again, I think that's a bit misleading. I do. So Joey Aguilar's got to play better. Tennessee, Josh Heupel, coaching staff, played the starters way too long. And I said this on yesterday's show too. Man, if you have Joey Aguilar in the first team offense playing a series in the second half, that's unfortunate. That's not where you want to be. And they had no choice. They had to bring him back out there and play him because they played like crap. They ended the first half like crap. Again, I'll refer to that first half drive chart. I'll tell you it again. Interception, touchdown, 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 interception, punt, punt, half. From that third touchdown of the first quarter, Tennessee goes 27 yards on 8 plays, 2 punts, and an interception. So Tennessee had no choice. Josh Heupel had no choice. They had to play their guys some in the second half because they looked like crap there to end the first half. So we'll continue on, talk about how Tennessee played their guys way too long. I mean, in the fourth quarter, you're leading 42-3, and Colton Hood's out there playing. What are you doing? Someone goes down, Wendell Moy goes down, and Jesse Perry comes in, who is only going to be available in emergency situations. I'm sorry, 35-3 in the third quarter does not qualify against New Mexico State as an emergency situation. Why didn't literally anybody else in a game like this go in there and play? Makes no sense. No sense at all. But I do want to talk about injuries. I do want to talk about Boo Carter. Here's we got a couple more minutes left. Here's we continue to react post game to a Tennessee 42-9 win over New Mexico State here on Homecoming. I'm Eric Cain. Stay tuned for more. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on all the action than over at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first bet $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It is where you can make every moment more. That is FanDuel Sportsbook. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is an app that gives the advantage back to the fans, right? Football season is happening right now. The tailgate to the rivalry is so exciting. Basketball season is coming up, but sometimes getting tickets to those events, to those showcases, are more trouble than the games themselves. That's why Game Time, again, it's the app that gives the advantage back to the fan. Easiest way to score last-minute tickets and the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay for. I pulled up the Game Time app, just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals, so I picked the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets in the past. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, we got a couple more minutes left here. A little post-game reaction podcast, Locked On Vols. I am Eric Cain, following Tennessee's 42-9 win over New Mexico State. I am broadcasting here from the press box post-game of Neyland Stadium, and you can kind of see a little bit of that behind me, not the field or anything. But nonetheless, two quick things. Injuries. I think the biggest takeaway from this one is injuries. Miles Kitselman got banged up, and he, saw him on the sideline. When I went down to post-game media, he was walking up the tunnel, and he was not moving fast. He did not, just reading body language, obviously just did not look like he felt good. And he took that friendly fire shot on his knee there towards the end zone, and that's just so unfortunate. And we'll see what that means. He had a big old brace on his knee. Certainly did not look like he was having fun when I saw him. So Miles Kitselman is going to be somebody to watch certainly this week. Yeah, what's his availability? We'll see. Wendell Moy, and again, this is an unfortunate part of this football game. Football's a contact sport, right? Injuries happen. It is what it is. But this is kind of why you wish your starters would have handled business earlier and got out of the football game. Wendell Moy there in the third quarter gets hurt, and he goes down, and that was unfortunate. I don't know much on him right now. We'll see. But he goes down and doesn't come back in the football game. And then, of course, you had Deshaun Bishop as well that got banged up a little bit, but he was fine. He did post-game media, so that wasn't that big of a deal. Tyree West, the same thing. But the two big ones we're watching this week for sure. Hopefully we get some more information from Josh Heupel on Monday's press conference, but I say that because he won't give us anything. But Miles Kitselman and Wendell Moy on the offensive line certainly need those guys. Because, Jesse Perry, again, as I mentioned, was only supposed to play in an emergency situation, yet he played. He's kind of banged up as well, and so right now you've got two guards that are kind of banged up. Last thing I want to talk about here, and we'll talk more about this, I presume, on Monday's show. Boo Carter. Boo Carter did not play in this football game. Boo Carter did not dress for this football game. Boo Carter did not attend this football game. Boo Carter was not in the house tonight. To my understanding, he is dealing a little bit with a hip flexor injury, but it sounds like it's kind of just been more of the same. With what's plagued Boo Carter this entire season. What a disaster of a season it's been, for Boo Carter. And Josh Heupel was asked about Boo Carter in post-game press conference, and this is what he said, quote, "At the end of the day, there's a standard that you have to meet to be in that locker room. He was not out on the field with us. This will be my last response to anything related to that for right now," end quote. So clearly he wanted to get that out there. He didn't want to be asked, hounded on it and all that post-game. But I'm intrigued to see what the status of Boo Carter is moving forward. You have a guy that started a lot as a true freshman, continued to take steps, and he had a really good offseason. He was working hard and making progress, and then the month of July came, and horrible month for Boo Carter. And then he had to earn the trust back of his coaches, of his teammates, work his way back, missed a whole lot of camp because of that, didn't scrimmage because of things his own doing. And then he's played some this year, but obviously I don't think that he's been too happy with not starting. But when he gets in the football game, he's so inconsistent. Didn't play a lick against Oklahoma, and then obviously didn't play in this game. It has been a complete and utter disaster for Boo Carter this year. And, I'm tired of talking about it. to me, I mean, everybody was like, boot quarter this, boot quarter that today. And I'm like, he doesn't even and I don't mean to be rude here. He just doesn't even register for me anymore because he's not a factor for this football team. And that's unfortunate because he very well, talent-wise, could have been the best football player on this team. So what's his status and his future with the football program? I don't know. Will we get some clarity on that before Josh Heupel even speaks to the media on Monday? I could see that happening. I don't know, but I could see that happening. But no doubt about it, I mean, Josh Heupel is going to be asked about Boo Carter again for sure on Monday unless there's some type of an announcement or some type of statement made before Monday, and then he follows that up with addressing it in his opening remarks on Monday and saying, again, don't ask me about it because I'm done. So what's that look like? Obviously, it just does not seem like a good situation with Boo Carter and the coaching staff right now. What's that mean? What's that turn into? I don't know. We'll see as the week goes along. Tennessee wins 42-9. 42-9 over New Mexico State. Game was never in jeopardy. Game was never in trouble. Tennessee certainly played probably its D-, maybe F game. Not well executed. Sloppy in areas, not necessarily penalty-wise, but sloppy in areas. Just not really what you wanted as the lead-in to the Florida Gators on the road in Gainesville. But doesn't mean anything in terms of Tennessee can just flip that switch and look like world beaters again next week. And hopefully Tennessee will do that a lot because Florida is going to be playing really, really good football against football leading into this game. And they're going to be told all week long, like, hey, we don't lose to Tennessee. So it's going to be a challenge for Tennessee, obviously, and the Big Orange. We will continue to talk Tennessee, Florida all week long. I'll have more reaction to this football game on a Monday Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, please. And we'll talk again on Monday. This is Locked On Vols.